behind you stands a symbol of oppression. Blackgate Prison, where 1,000 men have languished under the name of this man, Harvey Dent, who has been held up to you as the shining example of justice.
That was a scene from The Dark Knight Rises where a supervillain named Bane was standing outside of a jail. And he was giving a speech about how corrupt the system is because the people who run it are corrupt. Then after talking for a bit,
are corrupt! The rich! The oppressors of generations who have kept you down with myths of opportunity, and we give it back to you, the people. Gotham is yours. None shall interfere. Do as you please. But start by storming Blackgate and freeing the oppressed!
after talking for a bit, Bane lets them out. And one of the things that the newly freed people did was displace the wealthy.
Step forward those who would serve, for an army will be raised. The powerful will be ripped from their decadent nests and cast out into the cold world that we know and endure.
Keep in mind that this is Bane. The supervillain, Bane, acting with the best interests of others at heart.
Oh, your money!
Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, who when she was running for mayor, one of the things that she ran on, and still does even after becoming mayor, one of the things she ran on is banning gun ownership, more commonly stated as reducing gun violence with more gun restrictions. But it means take everybody guns. That's exactly what that means. Well, one day somebody decided to break into her crib, and guess what was listed among the items stolen?
Fox 11's Christy Fajardo is on our top story and joins us live with what we know. Christy.
Susan, Karen Bass's campaign says that the two handguns were registered, and in a statement, she called the burglary unnerving and said, unfortunately, it's something that far too many Angelenos have faced. Tonight, there's a patrol car outside of her home, and the LAPD may have a lead in the case. Take a look. The Congresswoman and mayoral frontrunner said in a statement, quote, "Last night, I came home and discovered that my house had been broken into and burglarized. LAPD was called, and I appreciate their assistance. At this time, it appears that only 2 firearms, despite being safely secured and stored, were stolen."
Yep, you guessed it. Guns were among the items stolen. One of the things that she was running on was making people feel safe, and some people remembered that. And after the burglary, they wanted to know if she remembered it too.
Congresswoman, do you feel safe walking in Los
I do
Angeles?
feel safe. I would say a 10. I feel safe, but I do understand that a lot of people around the city do not feel safe, and I respect that.
That was Bass during a Fox 11 mayoral debate. Her campaign didn't answer if she still feels that way.
Now let's talk about the issue of public safety. Our last debate was in March. Congresswoman Bass, I'm sure you remember this question. I asked you on a scale of 1 to 10.
I sure do.
With 1 being not safe, 10 being really safe. How safe did you feel? And you said you felt a 10 at the time.
I said
And then your guns were stolen from your house, and you said that your safety had been shattered. So I'm curious what that number would be now that you've been through that. And more importantly, in addition to that, how are you going to make all of us feel more safe?
Well, let me answer that first. My public safety plan calls for getting officers on the street immediately in neighborhoods and areas that want to have an increased police presence. And the best way and the quickest way to do that is to move officers away from administrative duty. And so that's how I would keep Los Angeles safe. In terms of myself, I was making reference to my neighborhood where I felt safe because of measures I personally took and also measures that were taken by my neighborhood. Obviously, they failed. So my sense of safety was shattered. If I had to grade it, I would grade it at a 5.
You'd grade it a 5.
Oh, she don't feel safe anymore without her guns, but campaigns on removing other people's guns so that everybody could feel safe. Karen Bass's rhetoric it's been likened to the rhetoric of Eric Adams, Lori Lightfoot, and others of the progressive movement, or what we know as woke.
As the mayor of the city of New York, I don't, weigh into immigration issues, border issues. I have to provide services for families that are here, and that's what we're going to do. And that's what our responsibility as a city. I'm proud that this is a right to shelter state, and we're going to continue to do that. And New York is a city that has always represented the democratic values and the values of our city of showing our compassion, and that's what we're doing today.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
We turned this city around in 20 months. And then what happened? 110,000 migrants. We have to feed, clothe, house, educate the children, wash their laundry sheets, give them everything they need, health care. And this team here, we stated, let's do everything possible before we have to push it out into neighborhoods and communities. Month after month, I stood up and I said, this is going to come to a neighborhood near you. Well, we're here. We're here. We're getting no support on this national crisis. This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City. Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this.
Now, there's something about his disappointment and his disgust about the situation that feels contrived to me. Right? But I could be wrong about that. My tinfoil hat may be doing too much right now with this thing. But look at why my spider senses are tingling in Mayor Adams' direction.
Governor Kathy Hochul, answering a request from Monroe County, is sending National Guard members to our region for an increased security presence. This comes as the county tells us several of the asylum seekers who arrived here last week are now back in New York City. Isabel Garcia joins us in the studio with the latest on this developing story. Isabel.
Yes, good evening to you, Teresa. Monroe County tells us 20 of the 77 asylum seekers, unclear how many are minors, are now back in New York City. Now, the National Guard request comes after over in neighboring Erie County, there were 2 separate recent cases of alleged sexual assault involving asylees. Now, today, community leaders tell me they're concerned about many facets of this whole program, again, which is being run and fully funded by New York City. I spoke with Monroe County legislator Mercedes Vasquez-Simmons today, who is bilingual, and she tells me she was on site last week at the Holiday Inn as families first arrived.
I was a little taken back that in the height of all the violence in Rochester, I've been calling for the National Guard just for us, that incidents that have occurred, not minimizing anything, that it would prompt our county to say we want the National Guard as well.
Governor Kathy Hochul is coming right behind Eric, coming right behind him with the Guard. So I don't believe he's for real pissed at the situation. I think that all of this is eventually to militarize America, martial law. But then again, it is possible that he was actually betrayed. It was assured beforehand that he'd be provided with plenty of resources to deal with immigrants. Being looked behind him, he turned around, looked behind him one day and saw that there was nobody with him. Looked behind him and saw that he was the only one in the room. Unlike what was promised to him, because like I said many times, that the devil has no friends or favorites, and all that the devil likes is its own agenda. And I'm listening to people complain about all of the fulfilling benefits that the immigrants were receiving. Oh, look, they're getting free apartments. Oh, look, they're getting free jobs. They're getting art jobs and $1,500 a month per person and all this stuff. Meanwhile, look now. They're being told to leave. The devil don't have no friends or favorites. And something else that I've been seeing. And the lady from The View, she touched on it a little bit.
The city we knew we're about to lose.
A little dramatic, isn't it? Seems a bit dramatic.
He's got a flair for drama.
Yeah, but he has been critical of the Biden administration for months. He doesn't get support from the government, he's saying. And the Republicans love this, you know, because this is right up their alley for somebody like a New York sanctuary city to be complaining about migrant problem. So,
yeah, they do. Yeah, they love that. And I've been seeing a lot of celebrations held by people on the right as if they have genuinely won something. Like they winning. Republicans think that Eric Adams expressing some buyer's remorse has been a cause to take victory laps. It's like they still don't realize how big of a mess this is for everybody. Everybody. Even when Governor Abbott of Texas loads up some bus loads full of immigrants, a few hundred more arrives in Texas after every bus load is sent off. Just more comes.
We want to talk to you about theft. Some people are saying theft in California is legal now. Is this true?
Well, technically not legal, but not enforced is probably the better way to put it. Certainly if it's less than $950. And with the passage of Prop 47, what we did was we looked at most property crimes and said many of them that were felonies are now misdemeanors, and many that were misdemeanors are essentially nothing, and there's a lack of enforcement for them.
So what happens if somebody steals at the store?
The core areas to understand here is that there's used to be what was called petty theft with a prior. In other words, if someone steals, if they have a history of that same type of theft, they could be charged with a felony, hence petty theft with a prior. And nowadays, they're only going to be charged with a misdemeanor depending on the circumstances. And in California, the way it works is that essentially misdemeanors have very little consequence, certainly as it relates to property crime.
Also breaking tonight, the Illinois Supreme Court rules a controversial part of the Safety Act can take effect statewide this fall.
The decision will make Illinois the first state in the nation to do away with cash bail. WGN's Dana Rebick is here with reaction. Dana.
Well, this was a 5-2 decision that was split right along party lines. The state Supreme Court upholding a portion of the Safety Act, ruling that eliminating cash bail for defendants awaiting trial does not violate the Illinois Constitution. Some states' attorneys are still concerned about certain Class 4 felonies.
Unfortunately, there are still some offenses, burglary being one of them. Unless there's injury to a person during the course of the burglary, judges will not have the ability to detain people for burglary if they find that they're a threat to the community.
5 minutes later.
It comes as some stores are locking up everything from coffee to frozen food to try to combat theft. Our Kyung Law visited one Walgreens that's hit by shoplifters more than a dozen times a day. It happened 3 times while she was inside.
Richie Greenberg walked into a San Francisco Walgreens when he saw in the frozen food section this.
Chains, heavy chains that went from padlock to padlock on both sides of the doors, and this was bizarre, something I'd never seen before.
San Francisco businesses fed up with crime. One sandwich shop owner is calling for action after he says he was attacked outside his store. He says he yelled at a man to stop urinating on his trash can and then was sucker punched. His Instagram post about the incident has now gone viral.
I'm fed up with this goddamn city. It's like, I can't just be outside and just running a business without getting punched in the goddamn face. It shouldn't be this way at all. Like, this isn't how our city should be.
You have to ask an employee for help.
At this store, frozen food is controlled with a cable lock. Fake eyelashes locked behind plexiglass, along with lotion and nail polish.
Just like Bain letting all those people out of jail. Now I'm going to read you a title of a video from a dude named Snyder the Handyman, who has another channel called Father J. And this is Snyder right here. And he's responding to the rising crime. But before I read you the title, let me tell you about something called the Sentencing Project. The Sentencing Project is linked to, or it's in cahoots with the no bail requirement stuff. You know, the abolish the bail system thing that we've been hearing about, where they're just releasing people over and over again. It's in cahoots with the defund the police crazies and all this other stuff done in the name of social justice and equity. Now the title of Snyder's video is, here's the title. It says, I'm looking at it right now. It says, "Another night in the battle streets of Chirac. We need to bring back public hanging as a deterrent." That's the title. Likened to many other Republicans who I've heard suggesting that the National Guard be called, which would be in direct alignment with what the Great Reset crowd wants. What do they want? The militarization of this country. The game that the left is playing has the right calling for the very thing that the left wants them to call for. You see, because the left, they want heavy police presence too.
At another grocery store, $14 bags of coffee under lock and key.
What is this?
I don't know. I don't understand why coffee. I don't know.
Here she is.
But it's become kind of like a police state in San Francisco. I don't know how else to describe it.